Yo, welcome back for another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. How you doing today, my boy?
All right, doing all right, man. Long drive back from spending a little time over on the west side, St. Joseph area, like Michigan, America.
Absolutely. The Tigers had a good conclusion to their weekend. They were able to sweep the Cincinnati Reds. Started off a little slow. We lost 2-3 to the Minnesota Twins. I actually got a chance to be in attendance in Minnesota to watch Scooble hit the bump, and I think we lost that particular game by 1 run. We had our 9-run explosion in the second game, and then it got real weird in the third game. You know, Maeda gets beat up pretty bad, which isn't that odd, but I think the game ended up getting rained out when it was all said and done. They made it through 7 before they just called the game due to weather. But we're gonna dwell more so on the side of the Cincinnati Reds series. We saw a lot of good things in that series. We were able to jump all over the bullpen specifically. We got some good performances, especially in the first game. Parker Meadows hit a home run, I believe, in his first at bat, which was great to see because he had just been called up for that game. But we also got some good play from Wenzel Perez, who had a late inning home run on Saturday, and Cole Keith, I believe, had 2 home runs in that Friday game. So, and then Riley Green, in addition to that, flirted with the cycle as well. So, some good production for some of our young players, our lefty hitters, and all around good performance, which was concluded by Tarek Skubal, who had a career effort. I think he had like 13 strikeouts and had 12 through 76 pitches, which is an insane whiff percentage. But that was all capped with Riley Green and Tarek Skubal being officially a part of the AL team for the All-Star game. So all around good conclusion to the week. But what are your thoughts and feelings about the weekend?
It's just the Red series was nice to see, and then obviously briefly we spoke prior to going live. There were some moves made based on some carryover and guys that may have been pulled from game yesterday, like Parker. Some other updates that kind of took a little bit of the shine off of that sweep. Obviously, first series win in 5 weeks roughly. I think we talked about that first, way back in the beginning of June, in the first 7 calendar days of June. So obviously, still needed. Minnesota one could have gone our way potentially too. But this team is starting to acquire a lot of smaller injuries right now. And unfortunately, they're all timing right around each other to require some additional absence from the lineup. So I think we're going to see a lot of interesting lineups over this last final week before the All-Star break. And hopefully between, the end of the weekend and the resumption of the following Friday after the All-Star festivities conclude, hopefully we can get some of these guys back and ready to go based on any rehab assignments they may need if the club determines that to be required. So won't tease too much more about that, but yeah, they'd been on a little bit of a schneid. Doesn't get any easier this week. You're staring at the top team in your division and among the top three teams in the American League as a whole, in the Guardians, and then you don't get a day off after 4 before you welcome in the powerhouse Dodgers and the wild show that is Shohei Ohtani.
Right, and as Coach said, this was our first series that we've won since the beginning of June, and the first sweep since the very first 3 games of the year against the lowly Chicago White Sox. So, if it feels like we haven't been up in a series in a while, you're correct, because it has been quite some time since we've handled business to that extent. I did want to highlight the fact that Kiter Montero, um, who was called up on behalf of Casey Mize, who was sent to the IL. But he did have a pretty good start, and got some good run support, which is always nice. But let's see, so he went 6 in the third, had 4 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, so a pretty solid outing for him, considering how much he was struggling going into that. But yeah, the bullpen has been pretty rocky. I've been impressed with Fayedo and Brisky as of late, and then pretty much everything else has been a roller coaster ride. But yeah, let's. I'm gonna get to the first break, and then we're gonna get to the rosters and injuries. All right, Coach, take it away.
Yep. So I mean, that's a lot of it's going to be in more recent days here. We're going back to close towards the beginning of last week. As you mentioned, Casey Mize, the day before Independence Day, went on the 15-day IL, retroactive to the first of the month, with the strained left hamstring. So as you knew, Kiter Montero was called up for an emergency spot start in that situation. Yeah, that was his first good outing of the whole year. Obviously, only 3 outings in total, but it was his first one in about almost 2 weeks or 10 days, roughly. Didn't give up more than 3. I mean, it was a quality start. 6 in the third, 6 hits, 2 earned, 2 runs, 1 home run surrendered, at a 4-to-1 K to walk ratio. In total, 4-to-1 was the final stat. So a little bit more in control. Avoided some of the bigger blow up at bats. Was able to keep the guys in it, and they got him some run support, which was nice to see. And then obviously we're going to get into the stuff that's been happening between yesterday and today. So they announced probably about 90 minutes ago, roughly, Parker Meadows is going to the IL after leaving yesterday on the caught stealing attempt with a right hamstring injury. So yeah, didn't have him up for that long. He came back with authority, and let everyone know, hey, this isn't just a fluke. I've been comfortable down in Toledo making adjustments and anything and everything between physical adjustments, mental approach to situational at bats, and we've been tailing it for almost the entire time. He kind of started hot too, so it is a bummer to see that he's going to be missed, but fortunately, he's going to get at least 6 days of basically free time with the All-Star break
Right.
on the IL. So hopefully he's able to return. Might take a game or 2 down in Toledo just to kind of ease back into it. And with that being said, obviously, Badu was sent down in that original transaction for Parker, so they are keeping him, and he is in the lineup tonight. The only other real news of note, Kerry Carpenter is still on track for his return. Did some light jogging, light catching on the field today, early this afternoon. No additional news reported there. And Javi Baez was activated. We knew he had been on a couple rehab games down in Toledo. Did okay. Nothing really alarming that was seen or reported. So, and he is in the lineup tonight, essentially in place of Parker, you could say. But really, the swap is that Ryan Kreidler had been optioned back down to Toledo, so that is kind of the swap with Baez, with Kreidler going down and Baez being activated. So Baddoo and Baez are both in the lineup tonight.
All right. So yeah, we're going to transition right into down on the farm. There was quite a bit of firepower down there. Ryan Valade hit a grand slam over the weekend. The big one, Max Clark hit his first grand slam on Saturday and nearly had his second home run of the day. He hit another ball off the base of the wall. So he's continuing to display all the different tools that he possesses. He's stealing bases, and now he's starting to really hit for power as well.
He's hitting opposite field with power too, which is scary.
Right. At 19, at 19 years old or whatever he is. But yeah, it's just nice seeing the progression that he's on. And I think the understanding is that after the draft or after the new rookie class moves into that low A role, he's going to be moved up along with Mitch to the high the high A ranks. But it's just good to see that after the initial draft and some of the struggles that he had making the adjustments, he's really starting to come into his own and ascend. In addition to that, Jace Jung is doing some rehab starts. He hit a home run over the weekend, and in addition to that, Javi Baez in his few games down there hit a home run as well. A name to look out for. There's not really a whole lot going on in Double A Erie, but outside of Hyu Lee, there's a first baseman by the name of Jake Holton. He's a little bit older. He's 26 years old, but he's having a sneaky good year. He's hitting 277, 808 OPS. He's got 9 home runs and 55 RBI. So some solid numbers, and obviously we're still searching for our first baseman of the future. I don't know to what his projections or how he's viewed as a future prospect, but can't help but keep an eye on first baseman that can hit a little bit. And outside of that, Jackson Jobe had another solid outing over the weekend. He went for 5 innings, had 3 hits, 1 earned run, and 8 strikeouts. So he continues to progress and bounce back from the early injuries. I think that barring something drastic, I think that they'll probably take their time with him just because he spent so much time off. But I think that going into 2025, they'll definitely be ramping things up to get him ready to make his debut and just ignite some excitement into the team, and just hopefully the rest is some of our young players are able to build some momentum and create some excitement. Not that we're looking too far into the future, because we got a lot of we got some games coming up that could actually impact the rest of our season, especially within the divisional opponents. So that pretty much wraps up everything that's going down on the farm. What do we have next on the docket? Let's see here. Did you want to touch? Well, I see that you did you want to touch base on Casey Mize? I mean, obviously he's dealing with an injury, but you think that he's shaping out to be a major bust for us?
There's been some noise across social media, local radio, regular media as well. He continues to struggle. He'll throw in a good outing every now and again here,
Yeah.
but he he like Torque was one of one, and we know that Manning lost out on the last regular rotational spot, and Faedo lost his rotational spot to the long relief bullpen. Um, but Faedo's adjusted nicely to his role. I think him and Holton had been leaned on a lot early on in the year, but you look at Mize's numbers. I mean, he's as is right now on paper. He's a back end rotation guy right now, and for a guy who's drafted number one overall, it doesn't look like he is going to be able to overcome those struggles that he has right now as he enters his mid-20s now. Um, so, assuming that we end up trading Flaherty like most of us assume, despite the recent back injury flare-up, but I had heard earlier today on 97.1 that he is actually going to return to pitch, I believe, Thursday this week, which I believe would be the afternoon finale against the Guardians. So one or two starts, one start before the All-Star break, maybe probably one more before the trade deadline. So if he's gone and Mize isn't re-signed or let go, we're going to have a couple of spots open in the rotation. So, some of those other guys like Job, hopefully have a shorter year this year with some injuries, get him healthy and have a chance to make it out of spring training next year. I think there's going to be potentially some new faces in the rotation, not even counting anything that may or may not happen with Scooble. That is, just assuming that he's under contract with us for at least the next 2.5 years, team control. So, yeah, it's not just been one or two guys that have been struggling. Obviously, Maeda has been struggling mightily this year, but when you're looking at guys like Reese Olson, Flaherty, and Scooble having to carry this rotation. And Scooble's been, I don't think to date this year he's missed his scheduled start yet. But Mize has been on the IL. He's been hurt a bit. Flaherty has maybe had one or two iffy outings at worst. And Reese Olson, he struggled a few times first 10, 12 weeks maybe, but nothing really that crazy. But then you get to these two guys, and it's almost been a bullpen day for most outings. We'll say two out of three or 3 out of 4. It's ended up being a bullpen day. They're out of there by the fourth, fifth inning with a high pitch count, or several earned runs already allowed. But the bullpen were 3 innings a day before, so they got to try and eat innings. So I do get that, even though I am frustrated that sometimes it's the easy decision is always like, all right, well, he's thrown 80 pitches, we're in the fourth inning, and we're down 6-0. Normally, your instinct is, all right, I got to go get him. I got to get someone else in there. But, again, these guys got to eat some innings. A lot of these starts are going 5, maybe 6 innings due to high pitch counts and other things. But, yeah, it's been tough to watch. I mean, I also did kind of highlight on Shelby Miller. His last 5 outings collectively has been pretty bad. 5 1/3, 9 hits, 9 earned, 7-2 K to walk ratio, which is good. 101 in that time, but his ERA's gone beyond 2 full earned runs in that 5 outing span, from 3.86 to 5.97. And I think his stat that's a bit alarming too in all of that. He's allowed 23 total hits this season and 6 home runs of those 23 hits, which means just better than 1 in 4, 25% of all of his hits are going to be a home run on average. So if he's only pitching 3 outs in an outing and he gets through it, he's almost guaranteed to give one up the next game. But if he goes back out there for another batter or two, I mean, the average plays right into their hands, kind of. So, yeah, not just Mize struggling there, but Shelby Miller's been struggling a bit too. And I know I saw what Foley, when we were up 3 or 4 runs in the ninth, he came in, or the eighth, he came in for a multi-inning appearance and promptly gave up 2 or 3 runs, and they only won by 1. It wasn't even a safe situation originally. So yeah, there's been some streakiness going on with the arms in addition to the injuries, which is not bode well. Not a good recipe for the current situation the Tigers are in.
And we're gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna just touch base on Casey Mize a little bit before we transition to the next thing. Yeah, so just to wrap things up about Casey Mize, I feel like he is. It's been a rough first half of the year for certain for him. I think that he's definitely dealt with a little bit of misfortune as of lately. I feel like his last 2 outings weren't that bad. I know he had a rough beginning to his not the last outing, but the outing before last with him, like with an error, I believe, by McKinstry, if I'm not mistaken. But he was able to conclude that outing with quite a few strikeouts. I think he struck out the side and had about 8 strikeouts altogether. And then and then where he got injured was kind of a freak accident where I think, who's our other catcher besides Rogers? What's his name?
Carson Kelly.
Yeah, Carson Kelly lost it in the sun, and so Mize kind of had to make an awkward play where he kind of ran after it and just kind of injured. I think it ended up being his hamstring, but he was doing well in that outing as well. I think he ended up losing or getting a no decision because of the bullpen, but I actually think that there's still some potential there for him. Obviously, he has high expectations, and he's dealt with some injuries, which has kind of stopped him from reaching his potential. But I'm not totally out on him being a serviceable starter eventually. But Kenta Maeda, he can. There's I would say there's 2 guys right now that I'm kind of at my wit's end with. Kenta Maeda for sure. It's kind of it's rough to watch him. It's almost like, I don't know. I feel like they're putting him in a position to where he has no opportunity to succeed. He already doesn't throw very hard. He's not hitting his spots, and he's just getting destroyed. And just kind of the reactions of that he has after just taking extra base hit after extra base hit is like, it's hard to watch, honestly.
Yep.
But
we saw him in person.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So he was okay. Yeah. And I did get to see him have actually a masterful performance. I can't even remember who he played that day, but I remember Cole Keith hit a home run too. But I did the Blue Jays, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, him. But yeah, Maeda and McKinstry. McKinstry is struggling, and he's playing third today. I guess Gio gets the night off. I guess Gio's getting a night off, but Veerling had to go to center field because he plays third a lot. But they got McKinstry in at third, but he fumbled another routine ground ball at shortstop. He was able to redeem himself, which was, the next inning, which was hilarious. But that only happened because the Reds, booted a easy ground ball, bringing McKinstry up. He hits a 2-run home run. So he was able to quickly right his wrongs, which, he's hanging. I still feel like, despite everything, I think he's hanging on by a thin thread. The only saving grace is that we haven't been healthy the entire year. Gio Urshela went to the IL pretty instantly. Ibanez, these are 2 infielders that they're both Well, Baez, down the line just recently, but
Yep.
we started off with Ibanez in Urshela on the IL almost instantly. Um, and of course, he's a utility guy that can play all over the infield except for probably first base, and he can play the corner outfields as well. So it's that's all fine and dandy, but when you're slotted as the shortstop, um, we expect you to at least make the
Routine
eighth
plays.
the
Yeah.
routine that an eighth grader could make if it came down to it. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's just hard. It's just hard to watch. Yeah, it's just hard to watch, especially when Kryler was going through his struggles. Like we leaned on McKinstry to be the guy that's been there and done that, and he showed him exactly what not to do. So I jokingly posted in the Tigers fans group on Facebook that my patience is already thin with Chippewas anyway, being a Western grad. But at what point are we going to tell them that Amazon is hiring? Like this is just not
Yeah.
work out for you. So, but I'm gonna let McKinstry live. Like I said, he's playing third base today. Hopefully he plays well because this is a very important series. We have an important stretch down going into the All-Star game. We got the Indians coming up, and then of course we got the Dodgers. So we can only pray to just steal a game. If that is that a 4-game series or 3-game series?
Cleveland's 4, the Dodgers are 3.
Cleveland's
Yeah.
yeah. So we got some important games coming up, and the Dodgers series could get scary, could get spooky, but yeah, we need him to step up because we are very beat up. Alex Lang out for the year.
Oh yeah. I mean, I
He's
joked
been
about it
gone, but
too. This is almost like this is now almost officially the Detroit Cubs because
right.
a lot of young kids, a lot of Cubs or pups up here, or the Detroit Mudhens because essentially we've been sending and swapping so many players down to AAA all year, all year long. Otherwise, guys like Winsell Perez and Buddy Kennedy, obviously no longer with the organization, but we never would have heard any of those names. Those guys would have been down there, and I know that team specifically, the Mud Hens, has struggled because of it. I mean, they're not having a good year, but like over the last 2 weeks or so, they had been starting to hit their stride a little bit, but. Yeah, no, that's hard. It's hard to deal with as a manager of a AAA level club when the parent club above you is getting banged up or knocked around. Something is coming down the pipeline that's going to ultimately, potentially on paper, hurt you, but it's your secondary mission in addition to just winning, like any coach or manager. You're still in a spot as a developmental coach. You got to somehow, address the issues, get together with the coaching staff, and figure out what they need to change or redesign to help fix that player's particular issues. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen it before, but I mean, man, it's been a lot of plucking down there from Toledo. So. Yeah, it's McKinstry's just got to stay just purely for a depth angle at this point. I mean, yeah, he's been below average in the field. He's obviously been very underwhelming with the bat. Sometimes he comes in with a extra base hit or a home run, but I mean, you just can't bank on that once a week for him. With all these other guys that had been maybe more recently, they're not struggling anymore, starting to turn around, or guys that are in the middle of a slump right now. You can't hide guys like that when multiple ones are streaking on the wrong end of it. Kind of look exposed, but yeah, it is what it is. It's band-aids on an open wound right now, just hoping maybe the bleeding will slow down a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy how, I mean, granted it's AAA and it's kind of irrelevant, but Keston Hire, the guy that played first base in Toledo prior to Torkelson getting there, has been tearing the cover off the ball. And where is he? I think he's up with. Is he up with the parenting now?
Was it Philly that's got him?
Uh I want to say Brewers, but that's where he was previously. But wherever he's at right now, he's been like just hitting bombs left and right. But it's kind of irrelevant. We had a guy last year named Andre Lipsius who plays for the Dodgers. He's a AAA Dodgers. Another guy having a great year, but the Rangers. The Rangers he plays for? Angels. He plays for the Angels. He's hitting 375 right now. I mean, he was tearing it up in he was tearing it up in AAA, and then of course
Yeah.
they brought him up like, oh, let's see what this guy can do. And yeah, he's 3 for 8 with 1 RBI, and he's hitting 375. I don't know if he continues that pace, but got to be kicking yourself a little bit if he keeps that pace up. I mean, granted, his slash was not great at the time that we hit that point of it was June, and call him up, or he has the option to opt out. I think he was hitting like 230 or something like that, but he had a good spring and he had a good start to the year. Who knows if he just kind of gave up or lost hope after a while, but he's at the majors, kind of tearing it up right now. So I'm gonna keep my eye on that, even though that's just torture on myself to go through the what if ideas. But now I'm curious because he was okay in Milwaukee as well. I'm not, he's not a career minor league player. He's actually played some games at the major league level, so not terribly surprised that he's doing so well in LA, but unfortunate that he didn't get just one, as many players as we've had hurt. Obviously Gio was hurt early in the year. Well, I guess that didn't matter because Torque was the everyday first baseman, and Keston only plays first, or DH, of course. But yeah, so yeah, we didn't he didn't get his opportunity in Detroit, but he's, I guess, making it count in LA. Let's get to the last break, and we are going to wrap. All right, so we pretty much talked about the upcoming games as far as the 4 in Detroit against Cleveland, and then we got 3 against LA and Detroit as well. I did kind of want to talk about the fact that Wenceel Perez, the minute you started getting on him and calling for his job, he woke up. I think he hit 2 home runs last week. It was at least 1 home run.
He hit 1 in Cincinnati in the middle game, and he hit 1 in the middle series of Minnesota.
The Minnesota one. I think I was there for the Minnesota. I think he.
No, it was the day after you went. He hit it on Wednesday.
But so maybe it was Malloy that hit a home run against that I saw. But yeah, when you guys get an opportunity, because I don't know if I had completed the player profile, but there's a Wenceel Perez player profile where we break down his advanced analytics. We talk about things that he's excelled at, things that he struggled at, what his future outlook could be with Detroit. But yeah, when you get an opportunity, just kind of binge watch. I've done about 5-6 of them. It's just it's been added as a staple of the show. But anything you want to talk about as far as Wenceel Perez and him having a little a little outbreak on the power tip, or just anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap up the show?
I mean, I feel like a lot of these guys they're kind of similar to each other. Baду and Perez. Badu maybe not so much, or Perez not so much in the field, but despite that, his slugging only went up 13 points since the beginning of July capturing those 2 home runs, because those are the only 2 extra base hits he's had this month.
Right, right. That's
He's
crazy.
had 2 singles,
That's a couple
2
triples,
strike,
right?
no triples.
The whole year.
1 in May,
Okay.
2 in the middle of May. I think he's got 5 in total, but
It's not
2
bad.
came in 2 came in April, 3 came in May.
A lot of singles. A
But
lot of singles for sure. We got a lot of
yeah,
singles guys. Gio Urshela, he pretty much just slaps base hits all over the place with not a lot of power.
yeah, but I mean, at least he gets on twice, like almost twice a game. I feel like when he's in the lineup, him and Andy, just when they're in, they're generally doing pretty well
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. Kind of what you expect considering what they did last year and how they started this year. But it's like, all right, well, Perez is relied on to bring some power. I don't know where it's coming from because he's sitting in front of Mark Canha, and Canha sure as hell doesn't have that much power right now. He's been in a big slide
Yeah.
over the last handful of weeks here. We all knew he's a patient guy. It just would chat me more to watch that happen. Perez gets onto the single and it loads the bases with 2 outs, and what happens? Canha takes a 5-pitch walk to drive in 1 run, and an opportunity they could drive in 2 with even just a well placed single. Instead, we got to settle for a bases loaded walk that only helps his OPS and doesn't even do anything for his slugging.
Station to station, man. We don't move too much outside of base to base.
Sounds like a summer tournament team, a 12U tournament team, nation to station. But yeah, I mean, look, enough of the downtrodden kind of stuff. Like, look, we know what it is right now. This is kind of going to be a transition slowly here as we near September. Some of these guys are basically going to be trying out for an invite next year or an opportunity to earn a return spot on the club. So, and obviously the guys that are potential trade targets and more legitimate ones, they're basically trying to show like, look, I'm healthy, I'm good, I'm worth being invested on if you want to trade for me out of here in Detroit. So there's going to be some shocker moves and adjustments and new faces probably over the next 8 weeks. But they're this stretch here as we end the first half and then lead into the second half. We'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of resolve these guys have because Guardians, Dodgers, and then coming out we're in Toronto. Road trip in Toronto, 4 in Cleveland, 3 against Minnesota, 2 more against Cleveland, 4 against Kansas City, ending on my birthday in early August,
Right.
before they make another West Coast trip to see the Mariners and Giants. I mean,
Wow.
this,
Wow.
yeah.
That is a run right there.
And then you want to top it off there? We'll go like kind of mid-August where we'll top it off. They come back from that West Coast trip to play Seattle again and then host the Yankees. So, yeah, this team could easily end up being last in the division after that stretch run. I'm not saying I want that to happen. It's going to happen. But, I mean, this is a rough 30, 40-day stretch that they're embarking on right now.
Yeah, I mean, and there's 2 ways to look at that. I mean, that's also a great opportunity to make up a lot of room in the division because we're going to be facing guys that are A, above us in the division, or B, in front of us in the wild card. So, obviously we have some things to hang our hat on as far as putting two players in the All-Star in the All-Star game, and seeing some of the glimpses of talent in our younger in our younger players. So we got we have some decent momentum going into these upcoming series. We just need to get healthy. You bring back a Kerry Carpenter, Meadows comes back after the All-Star break, Mize. And but then pretty soon we'll be looking at trading some of our sell pieces. But It's something. We're only 7.5 games out of the wild card, which is didn't sound great when we were losing every series 1-2, but hey, things can change quickly, especially when you're playing teams ahead of you. You can make up some ground if you can win a couple 2 or 3 series. Sneak up on a team and sweep them. Especially with the pitching we have. The pitching, the bullpen is scary. Foley's been, I think, our best bullpen guy right now is probably what Alex Faedo and Bo Brisky, the
I'd
low the
say,
low leverage guys, and
yeah. Well,
unfortunately, but
Bo's kind of been pitching a little more high leverage the last probably week or so. I've seen, he's been coming in maybe first reliever or seventh inning ahead of either Chafin or Foley or Vest, versus where he had been like Faedo with Holton when he, 'cause I know Holton had been a little nicked up too. Long relief situation like that, but they've kind of flexed him around the basically the entrance timeline. So he's been getting some higher leverage stuff. But yeah, I mean, I know Faedo was hurt for a little bit, maybe about a month ago, came back. He's been very reliable. His numbers may not jump off the page at you, but considering how many innings he's eaten, him and Holton and Bo has pitched multiple inning outings. Yeah, no, there's some stability there, at least in terms of long relief. The only problem is, getting the starters out in time to not make it almost an impossible attempt to come back. But yeah, I'd say a mix of those 2, 3 guys for sure. Obviously, I know Chafin and May really struggled, had that viral home run that they said any other ballpark it never would have gone out, but it hit some weird ass corner, awkward corner and then it just skidded out. But yeah, it's the first three. If you get the first three of the rotation in a 3-game series, I don't know how many runs the other team's going to be scoring. It's a matter of how many we can score, honestly, to support that. So I think it puts us in a very good fighting chance, at least first pitch out the gate for those games. But yeah, if it's Kenta Maeda or a spot start with Montero or any of those other guys, I mean, you're kind of sitting there like, oh, I hope this is a game we put up 9 or 10 because we're going to need every single one.
Yeah. It's such a crapshoot because it's like, that's going to give us our best chance, but a lot of times Scooble is who gets those runs.
Yep. Yeah, because we all know Reese Olson didn't get more than didn't even get 3 runs of run support for his first 7, 8 starts at least, if not 10 starts. It was an incredible number.
It was quite a few.
And they were like, even if he had taken some of the run support that Flaherty and Scooble had gotten, that was basically considered overkill. Like we win 10-3, and we could 2 or 3 runs here, 1 or 2 runs from there, and we give him down to Reese. He probably he's not sitting at 2-7 or whatever. He's probably sitting closer to 500 from a record. And we've been talking to death about Scooble and Cy Young. Flaherty's had some conversation about it being in the mix, considering his numbers were just as good as Scooble's, especially more impressively, how further along in his career he is. This is on a prove-it deal for Detroit right now. So he's definitely going to command a decent, not necessarily extension, but a signing here upcoming when his contract is up at the end of the year. So he will command a very well-earned dollar amount, that is, but obviously at his age, there's going to be some skepticism there. But I digress. Yeah, those first 3 guys, as long as we got them, we have a chance to. I think we have a better than average chance to win that series. But the day that Jack does get dealt, I think that may flip to, man, I hope we just get one. One of the two. If we're able to steal a second with some well-timed hits and a good start from Reese, then great, cool. But yeah, we'll see. I think a lot of this is just going to be kind of wait and see, and just kind of see what happens series to series.
Yeah. And I don't know, something about this show always gives me optimism and excitement going into the next game. I hate days off. I'm glad they're going to be playing pretty soon. But yeah, we're just going to continue to ride this ride and see where it takes us. I'm sure Riley Green will get a nice standing ovation when he goes out there now that he's officially a all-star, and the first secondary all-star outside of the given one in quite some time. I don't even know who was the last all-star that we had that wasn't that the last secondary all-star we had. But yeah, yep. We got a game coming up pretty soon. The projected lineups are already out there, and hopefully another one of AJ Hinch's, wacky, unconventional. I won't say unconventional because we got who we got playing, but of course we got Badu, McKinstry, and Rogers holding down the bottom of the lineup. So hopefully we can get some runs, and I think the projected starter for the Guardians, his ERA is, I'm sure he hasn't played very much, but his ERA is like 11 something.
I just opened that. Yeah, 11.25.
Right. So those are the guys that tend to make us look the craziest, but
yeah,
hopefully we can, keep that Ohio, the beating on Ohio teams trend going a little bit. But
I didn't even know we had Montero back up. He's starting for us tonight.
Yeah, yep. Montero. Oh no, Montero. He's been up since Minnesota. He pitched in the second game.
I thought for some reason it was a spot emergency start and they sent him back down.
Nope. He's up for Mize, I believe.
He threw. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, he threw 14 pitches, 10 strikes in the top of the first.
Oh, the game already started.
Yeah, they're heading to the bottom of the first.
6:40. Right. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Well, yep. That wraps up this this show. We'll be keeping you guys up to date on any roster moves throughout the week, and please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube for all visuals, and Corner to Copa on all streaming platforms. We out of here.
Peace.